Then Turin halted, but he showed no fear. "Who are you?" he said. "I thought only orcs waylaid men, but I see that I am mistaken." "You may rue the mistake," said Forweg, "for these are our haunts, and my men do not allow other men to walk in them. We take their lives as forfeit, unless they can ransom them." Then Turin laughed grimly. "You will get no such ransom from me, an outcast and an outlaw. You may search me when I am dead, but it may cost you dearly to prove my words true. Many of you are likely to die first." Nonetheless, his death seemed near, for many arrows were notched to the string, waiting for word of the captain. And though Turin wore elven mail under his gray tunic and cloak, some would find a deadly mark. None of his enemies stood within reach of a leap with a drawn sword, but suddenly Turin stooped, for he had espied some stones at the stream's edge before his feet. At that moment, an outlaw, angered by his proud words, let fly a shaft aimed at his face, but it passed over him, and he sprang up again like a bowstring and cast a stone at the bowman with great force and true aim, and he fell to the ground with a broken skull. Hey there, gang. I'm Danny J.
And I'm Joel N.
I'm Trevor D.
And together we are...
Keep on Tolkien.
Yeah. Yes, we are.
Welcome back.
Yeah. Welcome back or welcome to Keep on Tolkien.
Episode 100, Part 7.
100 Part 7. That's true. We are once again continuing our 100th episode celebration. Yes.
Woohoo! 7 episodes deep into our 100th episode celebration.
Yeah, if you're unaware, this is where we're going back and redoing the Chief Tales of the Elder Days. We covered them forever ago in Season 1.
Yeah, we had no idea what we were doing back then, so...
None.
Time to give them their proper shake.
Yes.
And so this is going to be, Part 3 of the Children of Húrin?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And we had previously covered the Tale of Beren and Luthien and its entirety. If you haven't listened to that, definitely go back, because there's some little bits and pieces that they overlap in.
Yeah, these all kind of fit together in the Atanatarian, right?
That's right, yeah. They're all kind of part of one overarching history.
Right. Well, let's get into where we left off with Children of Húrin, right? It's been a week, right?
Yeah, so let's do a little previously on.
Previously on the saddest story ever. Morwen made the difficult decision to send Turin away to Doriath. You might all remember that, right?
Yeah, a mother sending her child away, that's not easy.
No.
It was hard times.
Yeah, and so Turin is then accepted as Thingol's foster son. He's raised in Doriath for 9 years.
Mm-hmm. Turin, he comes to his full manhood and becomes a skilled and fierce warrior.
Unfortunately, Turin is forced to leave Doriath because of an accidental death that happens with some asshole named Cyros.
Yeah, fuck that guy.
But Turin is ultimately found innocent of murder, which is fantastic.
Cool.
Due to some last-minute testimony by an elf
maiden.
An elf maiden named Nella.
As they call her, the elf maiden.
Yeah, and lastly, Thingol, relieved that Turin didn't do any actual bad stuff, sends his pardon out to find him.
Yes. So let's get back to the story, right? Let's go all the way back to the Kingdom of Doriath. Thingol sends Beleg to find Turin in First Age 484. We've got a little excerpt about this from the Children of Húrin, Chapter 5, Turin and Doriath.
Then Thingol said to Beleg, "Now I have hope in the quest. Go with my good will, and if you find him, guard him and guide him as you may. Beleg Cuthalion, long have you been foremost in the defense of Doriath, and for many deeds of valor and wisdom have earned my thanks. Greatest of all, I shall hold the finding of Turin. At this parting, ask for any gift, and I will not deny it to you."
So, of course, Beleg's going to ask for something real cool.
Of course you would, right?
Yeah, he's going to get his sword of worth, as it were.
Yeah, he asked for what he calls a sword of worth, because the orcs, they come, quote, too thick and too close for a bow alone.
And Thingol, he's been really the only elven king. He was the first elven king in Middle-earth for the longest time. So he has a massive treasury with a huge cache of weapons and all sorts of badass stuff. So,
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking the coolest shit from the coolest places.
Cream of the crop.
Yeah,
Cream of the crop.
dwarven stuff, shit from Valinor, from the Noldor, Sindarin stuff, like all sorts of great shit.
Oh, yeah. Anything you can imagine. Because, I mean, Thingol is the guy in Beleriand, right? So, like, it all leads to him, right? All roads lead back to Thingol. He's gonna get his hands on all kinds of cool shit over all these centuries and centuries and centuries that he was the king of Beleriand, in effect.
So he tells Beleg to choose any blade he wants from his massive armory of blades, except for the king's own blade named Aronruth. And we've got an excerpt here about this scene from the same chapter, The Departure of Turin, chapter 4 of The Children of Húrin, read by Trevor.
Now Thingol and Menegroth had deep armories filled with great wealth of weapons, metal wrought like fish's mail, and shining like water in the moon, and swords and axes, shields and helms, wrought by Telkar himself, or by his master Gamel Zirek the Old, or by elven wrights more skillful still. For some things he had received in gift that came out of Valinor, and were wrought by Feanor in his mastery, than whom no craftsman was greater in all days of the world.
That's right. And of all these things, all these cool things, like imagine going into like a museum or something like that, right? That just has a wealth of cool shit.
All of the best shit.
And you find that one item that you're like,
ooh,
this one's leaving with me.
What is this?
It's funny that you brought up a museum, because actually I was thinking of The Matrix, when Neo has all the guns come up on the shelves, they all just flow out.
Oh, yeah.
Lots of
Except
guns.
swords.
Well, this is when Beleg finds the sword known as Anglakel. And we have an excerpt here about this as well from chapter 5 of The Children of Húrin, Turin and Doriath, read by Danny.
Then Beleg chose Anglakel, and that was a sword of great fame. And it was so named because it was made of iron that fell from heaven as a blazing star, and it would cleave all earth dolven iron. One other sword only in Middle-earth was like to it. That sword does not enter into this tale, though it was made of the same ore by the same smith, and that smith was Eöl the Dark Elf.
So, of course, upon choosing this blade, Melian has some words about it, right? And you gotta remember, Melian is the smartest person in the room at all times.
You always want to listen up when she's saying something. Anything.
Yeah,
Yes.
anything at all, and take it to heart, because it's good shit. So she spouts off a prophecy about the blade, and as soon as she makes the connection, sees that he wants it. We've got an excerpt here from the next chapter. Here we got chapter 5, Turin and Doriath, read by Joel.
But as Thingol turned the hilt of Anglakel towards Beleg, Melian looked at the blade, and she said, "There is malice in this sword. The heart of the smith still dwells in it, and that heart was dark. It will not love the hand that it serves, neither will it abide with you long. None the less, I will wield it while I may," said Beleg, and thanking the king, he took the sword and departed.
Really, dog? Like,
He's just like, all right, oh well, I'm going to do it anyway.
thanks, Melian. Thanks for your 2 cents. You
It's
know
a
what
nice
I mean?
thing you decided to say something.
Yeah, just completely disregard that entirely.
I will wield it while I may. Okay, cool.
Alrighty.
She doesn't really try to stop him, I guess. So
I mean, if people constantly disregarded your advice like this, I would. Yeah,
I mean,
I'd
at
be
a certain
like,
point, you got
whatever,
to just
dude.
like throw your arms in the air and
Yeah.
be like, I mean,
why do I even
fine.
try anymore?
Fine.
Fine, it's on you, dude. You know.
See what happens.
Well, let's get back to Turin. Our buddy Turin. He's out. Remember, he left Doriath. He just like straight up was accused of a crime and then was like, I'm out of here.
Yes, fuck this, I'm out.
Yeah. So after the Nearnath, the northern regions of or the regions north of Doriath, they had fallen on hard times, right? And this is the area that the next part of the story takes place in, right? Just north of Doriath. Desperate times obviously create desperate people, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this area is basically ungoverned at this point because it's out of the girdle, it's out of Thingol's sphere of influence. Really, the fall of North Beleriand had happened after the Nearnath, right? It's a Wild West up here, guys.
Evil lurks around every corner.
Yeah.
Yeah, violent crime and orc raids, very commonplace here.
Yes.
They're all over the place.
And one of these groups of people committing these things were a group of people known as the Gowerwaith. And if you know your Sindarin, that means wolfmen, right? And we have a excerpt about these wolfmen from the Children of Húrin, Chapter 6, Turin among the Outlaws.
For in that time of ruin, houseless and desperate men went astray, remnants of battle and defeat, and lands laid waste, and some were men driven into the wild for evil deeds. They hunted and gathered such food as they could, but many took to robbery and became cruel when hunger or other need drove them. In winter, they were most to be feared, like wolves and gowerwaith. Wolfmen, they were called by those who still defended their homes. Some 60 of these men had joined in one band, wandering in the woods beyond the western marches of Doriath, and they were hated, scarcely less than orcs, for among them outcasts hard of heart, bearing a grudge against their own kind.
Right, and you see this almost after every major war, ever, right?
Just an increase of crime from leftover
Well, yeah, like look
displaced
at the
people by the war.
So, like the best example I can think of is in American history is the Old West, right? Immediately in the aftermath of the Civil War, you have tons of people who are desperate and used to killing, right? And know how to kill, and they're suddenly both sides of them are mushed together in a place, right? Like this is it's a desperate time where a lot of awful things are about to happen.
Right, it's like different groups vying for power of places and
Right.
looting and all kinds
Trying
of stuff.
to survive, just
Yeah, trying to get by.
fighting for resources.
Mm-hmm. And as anybody who grew up in the same kind of neighborhoods I do, one of the things you can do is join a gang, right? Right, fellas? Join a gang, and that's exactly what Turin does. Huh?
Strength in numbers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean 60. I'd say that's almost more than a gang. Jesus Christ, it's like a society.
That's a militia at the very least.
Yeah, the gang, of course, the Gowerwaith, right? Let's learn about a little or a few of these guys. The Gowerwaith. It's about 50 dudes, right?
All right, a few named ones we have. We've got some Androg.
Yeah, Androg, you'll need to know this guy.
He's the meanest and baddest of the crew. Yeah, he killed a woman in Dorloman. That's how cool he is.
Yeah.
Then he's been running ever since.
Been running ever since.
We've also got Algund, and he's the oldest member of the crew, and he fled from the Nearnath and has been running ever since.
Yeah, ironically enough, a few of these dudes are from Dorloman, which is like, they might know Turin, you know, like
At least they might know of him.
might
at the
know
very
of him,
least,
yeah,
right?
like exactly. Of course, we also have Forweg, and this is the leader of the Gowerwaith. When Turin hooks up with them for the first time, he had fair hair and glittering eyes.
Ooh. For a man, that's pretty. Pretty, yeah.
He was of the House of Hador, but had done some unknown deeds that had made him fall from grace. But nonetheless, he could be wise and generous at times.
He also has probably been running ever since.
Yeah, that's the thing. Been running ever since. That's what I like. These guys all, I imagine they all introduce themselves to Turin and they all end their spiel with, been running ever since.
And I've been running ever since.
What we all got in common, boys. We've been running ever since.
So at this point, Turin, he comes across the gang in the wild and they surround him. And the captain tells the men not to shoot, but Turin, he has some pretty proud words for them. And these were the words actually from our opening excerpt.
Yeah, from our opening excerpt, where Turin is basically like, I'm going to kill you with a fucking stone for shooting me with an arrow.
I love how it's like, let me take this inferior weapon and just get one shot you with it.
Yeah.
You just totally miss me.
Mm-hmm.
Arrow v. Rock.
That's a snipe.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, that's a power play.
Yes. Funnily enough, because Turin is just this kind of guy, he offers to, he's got a billion arrows pointed at him right now, right? And he offers to join the gang in place of this dude that he just killed with the rock.
I see you have an opening.
Yeah, I see. Yeah. You have a spare horse there, I see. Yeah.
I could ride it.
But one of the members of this gang, named Ulrad, he's not having it. He says that to kill one of their best men is a strange way to join the gang and try to be, a friend.
Yeah. I love what Turin's response is that he says, I'll kill any one of your best men. This is like,
nothing to me.
Dude. Yeah, I'll kill any one of you. Androg of Dorloman, he approaches Turin, he looks him up and down, and he says, I am not a chicken heart, as men know, But I am not your match. There is none here, I think. Just straight up, like...
Just acknowledgement
of superiority.
Game recognized game.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, you, sir, are a beast.
Yeah. And with that, they let him join the gang. Why not?
Yeah, we'd love to have you.
Yeah.
I mean, that kind of muscle, yeah.
Yeah, dude. But to avoid giving away his identity, Turin, he names himself a new name, Nathan, which means the wronged in Sindarin, right? So dramatic.
It's just like Húrin.
And this
Yep.
begins the series of Turin giving himself names, right? This is the first time.
This is the drinking game for this series. So every time Turin gives himself a new name, drink a beer, right?
Yeah, anytime, I feel like most times people go through this story for the first time. I remember when I went through this story for the first time, I was just blown away at how many different names Turin gets.
Yeah.
A lot of them self-given.
Just go to his fucking Tolkien Gateway page, where it says like other names.
Yeah.
There's like 30 of them.
It's
just
a list,
a whole list of them.
It's too many names for one guy.
Too many names.
Do you think is this translation the wronged? Do you think all of the dudes also understand it as having that meaning?
Well, it depends, I suppose. Sindarin is kind of the language of the land, so you think
I think they probably did. They're probably just like, all right, man.
Wait, what's your story?
Okay, sure.
Yeah, I'm sure they're using. I'm sure they're using Sindarin to get by because everyone is from different places, right? So it'd be like
sort of the common language,
common tongue, yeah,
for the time.
Then I mean, they're also all like outlaws and things, so I don't think any of them are put off or would be put off by somebody not using their right name.
Yeah, not giving their I was going to say Christian name, but these aren't Christian names.
Their government name.
Yeah, their government name. Also no government. But you know what we mean. You know what we mean, guys.
Their Iluvatar name?
Yeah, their Iluvatar name.
So Turin, it turns out, kind of climbs the ranks in this gang here.
Yeah.
Originally, Turin did little to restrain the evil deeds of the outlaws that he's now rolling with.
Yeah, he's a new member. He doesn't really want to hey, you guys should stop doing that evil stuff you're doing. So he just lets it slide.
But, I mean, not always, though. He doesn't always let it slide.
This is true.
Because you got to remember, Turin is Húrin's son, which means that he is impulsive and passionate.
So we got a little tiny quote here about that. Yet at times, pity and disgust would wake in him, and he was perilous in his anger. So every now and then, after seeing so many horrible things, right, it just gets to him. And he'll snap from time to time. And one of these times was in the spring of 485 First Age, in the woods of Teglin. Let's set the scene.
So the Gowerwaith. We were camped dangerously close to the houses of men.
Yeah, weird, right? Like, because you're a band of outlaws. Like, why would you be so close to civilization, right?
Easy pickings.
Well, kind of turns out. So the men of the region often hunted or ran off outlaws in those parts. So it was kind of weird that they were so close. But Turin found it strange the gang hadn't moved away after a while. And
right.
One night, Forweg and Androg had disappeared.
Right, and the men are kind of like, there's like some kind of, it's a weird, like, people know shit and they're not telling Turin.
Yeah, Turin can kind of tell there's something going on here that they're not telling me about.
Yeah.
Why are we so close to these people? Why haven't we left? This clearly isn't, like, smart for us to be here. What's the drive?
Right, and the reason is not good, guys. And here's what we're going to have our first ever, I think, trigger warning on KOT, all right? We got a little bit of sexual assault trigger warning here, guys. So
yeah, it's not frequent we get this kind of thing in Tolkien, but he really wants to accentuate that some of these outlaws are bad people.
Bad men, yeah. And like this is one of the times it's pretty overt. So here it comes, guys. So Turin is walking in the woods and he sees a young girl running up to him at a good clip, right? Like running for her life.
Yeah, she's freaking out.
She's freaking out, and her clothes are ripped, and she's screaming and covered in tears and not doing well, right?
Yeah, obviously a bad scene. Pretty clear.
And so in pursuit of this girl was a man, and Turin slew him with his sword without even a second thought. Just he saw evil and he needed to take care of it.
He saw what was going on here. He knew what was happening.
Right, like he's like, I've judged this situation right off the bat here, and I think I've made the right choice, right?
Yeah, and he immediately notices, it's like, oh, this is Forweg. I recognize this person.
Yeah, it says he recognized in mid swing, in mid blow, that it was Forweg.
So as he's doing it, he's like,
yeah. It's like in baseball, the check swing, when you like just
Is it gonna swing?
So at this point, Androg comes up and rebukes Turin for having killed Forweg.
Yeah, he's like, what the hell, man?
But Turin just kind of shoots right back at him, asking where the orcs were that they must have been running from.
Yeah, surely you all three must have been running from something at such a great clip, right?
Because they were all running through the forest, not just Forweg.
Yeah, but Androg just basically tells Turin to, mind your own fucking business, dude. And Turin, he releases the girl because he's,
Yeah, lets her go. He's like, you should get out of here.
Yeah.
Go on, get.
But there's a little bit of a moment where she begs Turin to kill Androg and to collect the reward for the two slain Gowerwaith, right?
Oh, shit.
Because her father will offer a price, basically, for these wolfmen heads, right?
Please come back to my home and we'll pay you.
So Turin has an opportunity here to just turn around, kill Androg, and then go live with the men of the woods of Taglin, right? But he decides not to. He refuses to kill. He tells her that he refuses to kill any of his own men and just sends her home. Get out of here, basically. And that's pretty much that, guys. So he quells the assault of a young woman by murdering the leader of his own gang.
So Turin, he then returns to camp with Androg, and he tells the story of his slaying of Forweg. And Turin rebukes any who do such deeds.
Yeah, he's like, hey, I just killed the leader of our gang for doing something fucking awful. And if you guys are doing this fucking awful thing that he's doing, fuck you guys too, basically.
Yeah, it's not cool. So then he gives them all a choice. He's like, take me as leader, let me go, or kill me. Like, and they take him as his captain, which is kind of nuts, I think.
Yeah.
You keep what you kill, I guess. You killed our leader, now you must be him.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, too, how do you challenge him when he can so easily kill any of the best men there?
Without a second thought.
Killed Forweg on instinct.
Yeah.
Right? Not that it was a fair fight. Forweg was just running after somebody. I don't but like, yeah.
He probably didn't see it. He's like, oh, you're my buddy. You won't do anything bad to me. Stop that girl.
Stop, Nathan. Yeah.
Well, let's zoom out here for a second from Turin and talk about Beleg, because let's remember Beleg had recently left Doriath with the king's blessing to try and go find Turin,
right,
and let Turin know that he had been forgiven,
pardoned, and
pardoned is the right word.
Pardoned, and they're begging him to come back.
Yeah, they want him to. Yeah, they're begging him to come back. They want him to come back.
We didn't mean it, Turin.
Yeah, and they Thingol, he sent out many messengers all over the place looking for Turin, right? He's basically like, go, find him, please, bring him back, somebody. And eventually they all returned empty-handed, except for Beleg, who
just kept looking,
man. And Beleg, he sought for Turin for the better part of a year. He sought for him near the crossings of Taglin, but was turned around by evil shit coming out of Tarnufulin, of course, right?
Of course, a nasty place.
And eventually he found the houses of the woodmen where Turin had rescued that girl, and he spoke to the father, and they told him a story that a man named Nathan had rescued him from being assaulted, and that he slew one of the Gowerwaith.
And based on that, in the description, Beleg's like, that sounds like Turin.
I know that. That sounds like a guy.
That sounds like my guy.
Killed one of his own men for doing shit like this. Got it. That's definitely Turin. But yeah, so Beleg seeks, they point him in the right direction, and he tracks Turin and the band of outlaws to the lands between the vales of Syrian and Narog. So this is over in western Beleriand.
And let's not forget that Beleg he's a very good tracker, and this whole time he's constantly just right behind Turin and the outlaws.
Yeah.
And Turin is using all the crafts that Beleg had taught him to try and not be tracked. And we got a quick excerpt here from Danny.
Alas, he cried, too well did I teach this child of men craft in wood and field. An elvish band, almost one might think this to be.
Yeah, crazy that he would get all the because this is 50, 60 people. He gets all of them on board with these tactics.
Yeah, that's what's like. That's why Turin is like a special dude. Like, he takes over this ragtag group of dudes, and then all of a sudden they're escaping untrackable with elven efficiency, right? To the point where Beleg is having a hard time tracking them.
That would be scary if Turin was actually like an actual outlaw.
Yeah.
So Beleg finally catches up to the company. Takes him a while, but unfortunately, by the time he finally catches up to them, Turin isn't currently with the company. He had been separated from the others after a sortie with some orcs, and he had not returned yet.
Yeah, I think it was like the day prior. He and another person had got separated from the group. I think the other person gets killed, actually, and it's just Turin that comes back. But there's a whole thing. But yeah, he's not back yet. And the company, they do not treat Beleg nicely.
No, they don't know who he is, so they tie him up.
Yeah. He says he seeks for Nathan, because he knows that name now, that they know him as that, right? And that he comes as a friend.
But Androg realizes that this is the one that's been following them. And
yes.
So they decide to do some, quote, enhanced interrogation, end quote.
As the Bush administration would say. Yeah.
And Beleg only has one answer for them. And Joel's going to read that answer.
A friend I have been to this Nathan since I first met him in the woods, and he was then but a child. I seek him only in love, and to bring him good tidings.
Yeah, and Turin, he's gone for a while, and they leave Beleg tied up like this without food or water for a couple days.
But remember, he's an elf, so he doesn't just die as fast as men do.
Well, he just sits there, he suffers. They consider killing him, but they're like, yeah, we'll just keep torturing him. This is a good time.
Yeah. And as they're torturing him one night, as they're torturing Beleg, Turin actually rolls up. And this is a weird... Okay, so if I understand the text correctly, and I think I fucking do, you guys, they were about to brand Beleg's ass. It says that they drew a brand from the fire, right? Which I assume is not a stick on fire. It's either it's a hot piece of metal, right?
It could be a firebrand. I assume.
But either way,
it seemed like
burn this fucker.
They were probably just about to burn him.
Yeah, they're about to burn him, and as they're about to do this, Turin rolls up, right? And he's like, "Whoa, you guys, stop this!" So he cuts Beleg down, tends to him, and then he stands up and he makes a declaration to his men that he will never again raise his hand against elves or men.
And so he tells them, if you wish to take the same vow, then we can all still roll together, but like you have to take this vow.
Yeah, it's a change of plans, right?
Yeah, we're not fucking around with this shit anymore.
He's reforming this group as he goes.
Yes, exactly. He's trying to form them into an honorable fighting force, really. His own group of men. Because remember, his ultimate plan is to retake Dorloman eventually, right?
Yeah, that's the dream, his homeland.
That's his dream. So, like, he's trying to build up his group of homies. He asked Thingol for him at one point. He's like, and Thingol's like, I'm not sending anybody to Dorloman, dude. So this is Turin trying to get his homies together to reclaim his homeland. So that's why he's trying to make this group a formidable fighting force.
Well, and it makes sense that you might go for 4 outlaws, like especially in a land like this where everything is like war-torn and shit's hit the fan, because these are going to be the hardy motherfuckers.
They're the tough ones.
Mm-hmm. They're tough ones. You want the tough ones around.
Mm-hmm.
So at this point, Beleg gives the message to Turin from Doriath. He's basically trying to summon Turin back to Doriath.
Yeah, he's like, hey, buddy, you were found innocent of that crime, and everybody wants you to come home. Yay, right? Not so with Turin.
No, Turin is not as pleased at this message as Beleg would have expected.
Right. And yeah, he asked Turin, like, straight up, why didn't you just tell Mablung about the ambush by Cyros, like, right then and there? We could have just, like...
Could have been over this already. Like, none of this had to go this way.
Yeah, and this is where Turin reacts like Morwen would. Remember how we're, in every situation throughout this series we've been, is this Morwen? Is this Húrin, right?
Mommy's coming out here.
Which parental influences...
And he's got some proud words for Beleg, and we got a little excerpt here that Trevor is going to read from Chapter 6 of the Children of Húrin, Turin Among the Outlaws.
There was reproof in his eyes, without question asked of me, for a deed I had not done. My man's heart was proud, as the Elf King said. And so it still is, Beleg Cuthalion. Not yet will it suffer me to go back to Menegroth and bear the looks of pity and pardon, as for a wayward boy amended. I should give pardon, not receive it. And I'm a boy no longer, but a man, according to my kind, and a hard man by fate. Then Beleg was troubled. What will you do, then? He asked. Fare free, said Turin.
That's right. How proud.
Yeah, this is one of those moments where it's like glaringly prideful, like, go back and I don't want to have to go back and bear the looks of pity and
I love
pardon.
My heart will not suffer it for me to go back to Menegroth and bear looks of pity and pardon.
Ooh, poor
As for a
you.
wayward boy amended.
That's
love that.
definitely the son of the woman who paid those elven messengers, even though she
poor
was
as shit.
broke.
Yeah.
God,
Oh, son of Morwen.
Unlike Morin did, Turin refuses the summons to Doriath.
She also did. That's right.
Yeah.
Trev, yeah. Very, very astute. She did also refuse the summons to Doriath.
So he plans, he's going to lead his band of outlaws and turn their efforts to the servants of Agband and reform their evil ways.
Right.
And, he's like, hey, Belg, you want to stay with? You can hang out with the crew?
Yeah, they actually have a little conversation here, Belleg and Turin, about that whole, I'm building a group of guys that I want to be an honorable group of men. And Belleg's like not certain that Turin can do that with this group of people. And they have a little, I wanted to have excerpts from it, but again, really long story, guys.
But Belleg decides to stay with Turin ultimately against his better judgment. But first, Belleg must return to King Thingol and basically get his permission to leave and stay with Turin out in the wild. We've got a quick excerpt here from Chapter 6, Turin Among the Outlaws, read by Danny.
If you wish indeed to keep your word and stay beside me, answered Turin, then look for me on Amun Rud. Thus he spoke, being fey and unwitting of what lay before him. Else this is our last farewell. Maybe that is best, said Belleg, and went his way. Yeah, so they're at an impasse here, guys. Turin is telling him that he wants him to stay with him, and Belleg is like, I got to go back to the king first. Like, maybe I'll come back, maybe I won't, but you should come back with me. And he's like, not a chance in hell. Seek for me on Amun Rud, that's where I'll be. If I see you again, cool. If I don't, farewell, buddy. So, yeah, a little sad situation here. Maybe the last parting of these two friends here.
Yeah, and this is one of those classic moments, or moments that will become classic, where Turin just lets his pride get in the way.
Right. So things are getting pretty dark here, guys. Right. It's not looking good for Turin and his friendship here. Right. The only person that understands and loves him is now leaving him yet again.
Mm-hmm.
Right. They just met up and everything.
Just met up. So I think it's time for what we've been doing in this series. Another Deep Sea Fact with Joe Vasky. And where this comes from is basically whenever I find myself suffering from existential dread, I go to YouTube. And often I turn to watching videos about the deep sea. I don't know why, but it tends to calm me down.
It's beautiful. It's a beautiful world.
Right. Yeah, an unknown world of wonders down there. But since the Children of Húrin can be a bit of a downer, we're going to try to keep it light with our new palate cleansing segment.
Yeah, so every now and then when the story gets real depressing or we're on a good downturn, right? Joe's going to pop in with some cool deep sea facts, and he's just going to cheer us right up, guys. Yeah,
it's definitely going to cheer us up.
Yeah, and in case you don't know, I don't know why you wouldn't at this point, but hey, Joe is a friend of the show. He's contributed, a whole bunch over the years, and so we wanted to bring him in for the 100th episode special to make it just a little bit more special.
Right. But here it is, your Deep Sea Fact with Joe Vasky. Roll Deep Sea Fact 1.
Hey crew, this is Deep Sea Facts with Joe Vasky. I am Joe Vasky. One of the most intelligent animals on Earth is the orca. Some studies show that they have an IQ on par with an average human teenager, but because of human activity, there are only 73 resident southern orcas remaining in the ocean today. The orcas have recently decided to fight back, it seems. There have been 5 yachts sunk since 2020 by these killer whales. On par with a human teenager, they're still kind of dumbasses. Anyways, this has been Deep Sea Facts with Joe Vasky.
Ooh, wow. That made me feel a lot better.
Yeah, I always love those. I didn't know that.
That was something I didn't know as well.
It really helps my mood float to the surface.
Yes, I agree.
I feel better already.
Me too.
I think I could take a little more of this now.
Yeah, I think let's get back.
I bet this story gets better.
I bet it does too. I bet we won't need any more Deep Sea Facts with Joe Vasky, you guys. Let's get back to Menegroth, because that's where Beleg is going.
So Beleg, he returns back at Menegroth, and Thingol is happy that Turin has been found and that he's, alive and doing all right, but he still hopes for him to return to Menegroth ultimately, and he doubles down on his oath to foster Turin, and, I'll be damned if he's not going to try his hardest to do it, and he still is trying to find the best way to get through to Turin and try to get Turin to voluntarily come back to him.
How do I reach this kid?
Even though loving Turin seems to be a really big pain in the ass. Like, at this point, I think maybe it's better for everyone to cut ties with Turin. But anyway.
I feel like as soon as one bad thing happens with Turin, like any relationship you had with him just soured right there.
Yep.
They try.
He's a very clean cut, like sever it and move on type of guy. Turin, he doesn't fuck with past trauma, right? Like Morwen doesn't either, right? She doesn't fuck with past trauma. You just keep it all inside, right?
And real deep, and you just move on.
Yep, just move on.
Tell everyone else to suck it up.
Yep, even your 9-year-old son. All right. Well, we got another Children of Húrin excerpt here, chapter 6, Turin among the Outlaws. Joel's gonna read it.
Then Thingol sighed, and he said, I took up the fostering of the son of Húrin, and that cannot be laid down for love or hate, unless Húrin the Valiant himself should return. What more would he have me do?
Honestly, what more would you like? This dude, Thingol is such a saint in this story compared to how he was in the last story.
Compared to the
Like, if you want to learn about character development, look at Thingol's character over the last 2 stories, right?
And he really came around, and like it didn't really take a lot. He just realized, oh shit, that was wrong. All right,
right.
Yeah, I reformed immediately,
which shows a wise character, right?
I would agree. Yeah.
So let's get into some gifts. Everybody likes gifts, right?
I like gifts.
Yeah, so on sending Beleg back out to Turin again, this time the king and queen send gifts along with him to help, I don't know if it's to help, woo Turin to come back to them, or maybe they're just trying to be helpful.
Well, it was more like they said, if you can't bring him back here, make sure he's safe.
Gotcha.
So that was more like
so it is just them being caring.
It is them being caring. Yeah, it's them being very caring. Yes, they're saints, man.
It's more than his mother ever did.
Yeah.
I suppose this is the king and the queen. Melian wouldn't do anything, and
no, she's perfect.
Yeah.
We love Melian. But yeah, so they send out gifts with Beleg, and one of the things that this is a personal gift from Melian is lembas bread. Right? We learned about that. Melian gifts Beleg the way bread of the elves. If you guys remember,
and this is the first time this ever happens.
Yes, given out to mortals.
The first of 2 times. The time when it happens with Galadriel and Frodo is supposed to be somewhat reminiscent of this time, but this is the first time it happens. So this is like huge. They don't share the elves. They don't share this way bread with anybody.
This seems like it could kind of be sus, though. Like, this product has never been tested on humans.
It's not FDA approved.
You're right.
You don't know what it's going to do.
All of a sudden, he has an allergic reaction, goes into anaphylactic shock, and they're like, oh, shit, I didn't know he couldn't eat elf food.
Yeah.
None of the elves get allergic reaction. Would they even know what that is, actually?
Yeah. You know what's really funny about this is a friend of ours and fellow content creator that I met on TikTok, Casey, on the Discord, the Tolkieneering channel, he asked a question, how can you connect the story of Frodo to the story of Turin Turambar? And he posted that like a month and a half ago. And I didn't respond to it because I was like, shit, I have no idea what to say to this, right? And as I'm writing this episode, this is like a month later, I'm sitting here and I got to this part and I was like, that's it.
Ding.
There it is.
Those are the 2 things that connect the story, right? The use of lembas bread in mortals. Bam. Wow, what a Tolkieneer, right?
Oh,
yes. Yeah. But yeah, if you want to hear more about the properties of lembas bread, check out our 420 episode where we talk about medicinal drugs, and we added that in there.
But we have a quick excerpt here about this scene with Lembas, and this is again from Chapter 6, Turin Among the Outlaws, read by Trevor.
And she gave to him store of lembas, the way bread of the elves, wrapped in leaves of silver, and the threads that bound it were sealed at the knots with the seal of the queen, a wafer of white wax, shaped as a single flower of Telperion. For according to the customs of the Eldalie, the keeping of and giving of this food belonged to the queen alone. In nothing did Melian show greater favor to Turin than in this gift, for the Eldar had never before allowed men to use this waybread, and seldom did so again.
Yeah, there it is right there. Never had before and seldom did again.
There it is.
Save one. Well, I guess it doesn't explicitly say save ones.
No.
But it's the only one.
I think that's
only one I could think of.
yeah.
Off the top of my
I think
head.
it's the only one that we know of, and therefore I think that's kind of what it means.
But there it is, Casey. Your link between the story of the Children of Húrin and the story of Frodo and the One Ring.
It's an elaborate thread that's been
Yeah.
woven.
What a tangled web we weave.
You after that patient wait, you earned a shout out.
Yeah. Thank you for waiting as long as you did. It had to have been. I don't know how long it was since you posted it, but it was a long fucking time before I could respond to it, which is funny. But yeah, let's get into the other gift, right? Did we talk about the other gift? No,
We haven't. No, this gift is very important. This
Very
is
important.
very symbolic.
I don't know if it's a gift because it technically belongs to Turin. So like, I don't know.
I
Is
suppose
it
it's true.
It's a re-gift.
It's like, hey man, you left without this. So
Yeah.
we're just bringing it to you.
You left your shit at my place.
And we're talking about the dragon helm.
Of Dorloman?
Yeah. So Thingol entrusts the dragon helm, to Beleg to go return to Turin. He says if he's not coming back, bring this to him because it's basically his.
Yeah, it's his. And Turin wasn't wearing the helmet when he left Doriath because remember, he was ambushed.
It's not like he was planning to
He
leave
was
at
not
the time.
dressed for battle or for traveling.
Yeah, he probably would have taken it with him if he had the chance.
Right.
Or wasn't so
If he was
fucking proud.
That'd be funny if he went to get back. Like, he says to Mablung, he's like, no, I'm out of here. And then he just like walks back.
Goes back.
I got to grab my helmet though. And then I'll peace out.
I forgot a couple of things.
Forgot a couple things back here. But yeah, if you want to learn more about the Dragon Helm of Dorloman, we talked about it in the last episodes.
Yeah, you get a little bit of the history.
Yeah, but also check out the House of Hador section in our Men Part 1 episode.
Oh, yeah, of our Men series,
Yeah.
Race of Men.
Race of Men series, where we talk about the heirlooms of the House of Hador, and we talk about this.
Yeah, because this helm's been around for a while with multiple owners.
Yes.
It's got a rich
It's
history.
got a whole history.
Meanwhile,
Meanwhile, so let's jump back to Turin, who is now, as he had mentioned, at Amon Rud. So Turin and his men did what they could to stem the orcs pouring down from the north, as is more and more common in this region after the Nearnath.
Right.
And as the year went on, Turin decided he needed more permanent dwellings for him and his men, especially with winter coming up. They couldn't just be living outside.
And there's a lot of them, and they need food and shelter, right?
so one of the outlaws actually comes across 3 small hooded figures carrying a large sack. And, Turin calls out to them. They pay no heed. And so Androg, being the dude that he is, he shoots an arrow after them.
Why not, dude?
Yeah, if they're not responding to your words, they might respond to our arrows. Yeah, so that the men, they just go and they overtake the little figures, and they discover that they're dwarves. And one of the dwarves, he introduces himself as Meme.
Meme.
Like those things you find on the internet.
Yeah, internet memes.
Memes. Yeah, internet
I wonder
dwarves.
if there's any memes out there.
Memes? I'm sure there's lots
Yo,
of meme
if you're
memes.
listening to this episode right now and you have a fire meme, go to the Discord and post it in there.
Hell yeah.
I would love to see some
I never
meme
even thought
memes.
about that.
Let's start a meme revolution, you guys. But Meme, who is he?
Meme's
yeah.
a petty dwarf.
It's a petty dwarf.
Yeah, which are smaller and less advanced than their kin of the east. So, like, you picture a dwarf, picture an even smaller dwarf.
Right, a dwarfier dwarf.
A dwarfy dwarf. And, there's only a tiny number of them, I think, like, really left. And we've got an excerpt with moving on here to chapter 7 of Meme, the Petty Dwarf, read by Danny.
They came, some said, of dwarves that had been banished from the dwarf cities of the east in ancient days. Long before the return of Morgoth, they had wandered westward. Being masterless and few in number, they found it hard to come by the ore of metals, and their smithcraft and store of weapons dwindled. And they took to lives of stealth, and became somewhat smaller in stature than their eastern kin, walking with bent shoulders and quick furtive steps. Nonetheless, as all of the dwarf kind, they were stronger than their stature promised, and they could cling to life in great hardship. But now at last they had dwindled and died out of Middle-earth, all save Meme and his 2 sons. And Meme was old, even in the reckoning of the dwarves, old and forgotten.
Yeah, the petty dwarves always really interested me.
Me too. Like, where are they?
Yeah, they're
Like,
such an
who are
interesting
they, rather?
and unique people, and likewise, Meme is a very unique character. We don't get any characters like him in any other stories, and we know how frequently Tolkien will, recycle certain character types or story arcs for characters and things like that.
Yeah.
Meme is a very unique character.
Yeah.
And also very pivotal to the story.
He's also old. Like for dwarves, and dwarves live like quite a while, right?
Yeah, he's super old. So when I think of petty dwarves, I don't know what it is, but they make me think of like a lawn gnome.
Lawn gnomes, yeah, me too.
Yeah,
me
lawn
too.
gnomes. Like if there were ever a lawn gnome in Middle Earth, I imagine it would be the petty dwarves.
It's Meme, the petty dwarves.
Red hat and white beard, whole shebang.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Well, Meme, he says he's old and poor, and Turin responds by saying that his men are also in desperate need. Like, shit sucks out here, guy.
Yeah, he's like, you got some ransom? So could we maybe
you got anything that we can ransom
off
for your
of you?
life?
Give us one reason not to kill you.
Yeah, give us a reason not to kill you where you stand.
It turns out that Meme, he doesn't have really anything to offer, but he offers to share his secret lair with Turin and his men.
He has residence to offer.
Yeah, I don't have things for you, but I have a place.
Yeah, I got my place up on Amun Road there.
Yes, and there's plenty of room. And so, Turin's like, yeah, let's do it. I'll take you up on that offer. We've got an excerpt from the same chapter 7, Meme the Dwarf, about this scene read by Joel.
Lord, cried Meme in great fear, clinging to Turin's knees, if I lose my life, you lose the dwelling, for you will not find it without Meme. I cannot give it, but I will share it. There is more room in it than there once was. So many have gone forever. And he began to weep. Your life is spared, Meme, said Turin. Till we come to this lair, at least, said Androg. But Turin turned upon him and said, if Meme brings us to his home without trickery, and it is good, then his life is ransomed, and he shall not be slain by any man who follows me, so I swear. Then Meme kissed Turin's knees and said, Meme will be your friend, Lord. At first, he thought you were an elf, by your speech and your voice, but if you are a man, that is better. Meme does not love elves.
I kind of just put 2 and 2 together, that Turin's first, we won't slay elves and men, and you people who follow me won't either, that he didn't include dwarves.
Yeah, that's true.
Right.
He's like, oh shit, I guess we didn't really say one way or the other on dwarves. Huh.
So Meme's in question here.
Yeah,
I get it.
It's funny. That's really funny. I've read this story a billion times. I never thought of that. That's super funny.
So coincidentally, Meme's secret lair is on Amun Rood.
Yes.
So I don't know how. It must have been some foresight that came on Turin at the time when he said that, but now they are actually going to Amun Rood to go stay there.
Yeah, I think he was just more like, I'm going to go hang out over, because it was like off.
Go find me over there.
Yeah, I think, and then it turned out to be a chill place to be, I guess.
That's exactly where he will be.
Yeah.
What a coincidence.
But yeah.
A little background on Amun Rood.
Yeah, it used to be populated by many dwarves, actually, but their numbers dwindled to only Meme and his sons, which is 3.
Down to 3, yeah.
And it's a large hill. It stands just south of the Forest of Brethiel and the Taglin, right?
It's the only hill in this very flat area, and it just stands over 1,000 feet tall.
I think in Minnesota we'd call that a mountain. It's funny because there are mountains in Minnesota, but they are like 20 million years old. Like they're super worn down mountains, right? They're from like the volcanic era, like way back, right?
Eroded.
Yeah,
so
they're hard to call mountains if you've ever been to any real mountains. These are more like big hills.
They're big hills. Yeah, our tallest quote mountain is Eagle Mountain, which we do call a mountain, and that's 2,300 feet about. So yeah,
above sea level.
Yes, it's 2,300 feet above sea level. But yes, we call them mountains here. Yeah, so the ones we were going up along the North Shore, Trev, when me and you went up there, those are about 1,000 feet, give or take. So those are big hills, right?
Yeah, hills. Yeah, I definitely wouldn't use the term
call them
mountains. Not even close.
No.
But that's what we get in Minnesota.
Yeah, no. Only ancient mountains here, guys.
So Amun Rood, it's actually a Sindarin term that means bald hill.
Yeah, and Sharbund means the same thing in Kuzdul.
Gotcha, so that's the Coolsdool name for it.
For Bald Hill, yeah. And this is, of course, because it's got no trees on top. And we got a little bit into it when we were reviewing this outline about it.
What does that mean?
What does it mean to be a bald hill, right? Because there's no trees on the top, but it also then goes on the text, and this is what Trevor took umbrage with. It also goes on to describe the fact that the rocky hilltop that doesn't have any trees is covered in a short red plant called red saragon.
So
right?
technically it's not bald.
So is it bald?
But
I don't know.
Yeah, I can go along with if it's a bald of trees, but
It's
I feel
bald,
like
yeah.
you need more description than that.
Yeah, come on, Tolkien.
Because I do just picture just rocks, and then it's bald, like a blight came upon the plant life and took it.
But the plant that does the one plant that does grow up on this rocky hilltop, it's known as red surgeon. And
I think it's Saragon. I think.
Oh,
how
I'm
you say it.
sorry. Oh my God.
It could be surgeon. I don't know.
No, you're definitely right. That was just my dyslexia rearranging a few of those letters.
Saragon, which is Sindarin for blood of stone, right? Gon, like Gondor, right? Blood,
and they're basically small little shrub-like plants with blood red flowers, and they're supposed to make the whole hilltop basically look like it's red.
Right.
That sounds like it would be very pretty.
That was before I started doing this episode. I always thought Amon Rud meant Red Hill.
Yeah, I think I might have said as much in the past.
We probably have.
I've learned something today.
Yeah, if you can go back in the backlogs and hear us say that shit back in the day, it's wrong. We're correcting it now. But up on this Amon Rud, we have the dwelling itself, right? That Meme is taking these dudes to, the secret lair.
Within the hill.
Within the hill itself, right? It's called Bar and Danwaith, right? Or Danwaith.
Well, technically, it used to be called Bar en Nibin Noeg.
Right. Which means what?
The House of the Petty Dwarves.
Right. But Turin and Meme seem to like to rename it Bar and Danwaith, which means House of Ransom, right?
So this place is huge.
Is it House of Ransom because it was Meme's ransom for his life?
Right.
Oh, that's kind of sad.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it kind of changes meaning here in a second. Actually, we'll talk about that.
I suppose. I mean, it's a huge lair. There's tons of rooms for working and supplies and sleeping. So, he wasn't wrong about there being plenty of
enough
space
room
for people.
Yeah,
this place could have housed hundreds of dwarves. Maybe more.
Mm-hmm. When they make it to the lair, Meme makes a shitty discovery that his son was actually hit by that arrow that Androg shot, and he's dead now. He died.
Oh, jeez.
Not only that, but he died from his injuries while Meme was being held captive. And, Meme could have otherwise
healed him, most likely.
Come and probably tried to heal him. Mm-hmm. Meme was the medicine man.
So
that just makes this whole death very, very bitter.
I mean, how big an arrow from a man to hit a petty dwarf? That's probably got to be a good wound, and they don't have a lot of blood to lose.
They are small. Yeah, that's true.
So at this, Turin is filled with pity and offers what comfort he can to Meme. And we have an excerpt about this scene from Chapter 7 of Meme the Dwarf, read by Trevor.
Again, pity long hardened, welled in Turin's heart as water from rock. Alas, he said, I would recall that shaft, if I could. Now, Baron Denweth, House of Ransom, shall this be called in truth? For whether we dwell here or no, I will hold myself in your debt, and if ever I come to any wealth, I will pay you a danweth of heavy gold for your son, in token of sorrow, even if it gladdens your heart no more. Then Meme rose, and looked long at Turin. I hear you, he said. You speak like a dwarf lord of old, and at that I marvel. Now my heart is cooled, though it is not glad. My own ransom I will pay. Therefore, you may dwell here, if you will.
I always thought that was an interesting exchange.
Yeah.
The offer of payment for the loss of his son.
Yeah.
Which is apparently sort of a dwarven thing to do.
Yeah, that would be a very, what you would do for a dwarf, right? And this is what I meant by it kind of changes meaning here, a House of Ransom, is that it's now the ransom toward Meme for killing his son instead of back for
kind of goes
life,
both
right?
ways at this
point. Kind of goes both ways now.
Yeah. I mean, that's, man, what a shitty situation just overall. Hey, take us to this place. What could Meme have done here? there's all these dudes here. If he tried to say no, some of them might go against Turin's wishes, right?
Yeah.
Because it's a prime shelter.
Yeah.
And not only that, Turin and his men, they actually end up enjoying living with Meme.
Yeah, he pretty much gives them free reign to the place except for like his chambers. He's just like, just don't go in here, and everything else is chill.
Don't go in my secret room.
He even teaches them how to eat the strange roots that petty dwarves eat. That sack that they were carrying when they shot them originally was full of this weird white root that they said tastes like bread when you cook it.
I imagine yuccas.
Weird.
Yeah.
I imagine yuccas when they say that.
Yeah. I don't know. The men seem to dig it. I don't know, but
Hey man, roots are one of my favorite things to eat. I mean, potatoes, carrots, yuccas.
You're saying yuccas. I thought you were saying yuccas like yuccas. Like,
oh,
gross.
no, the yuccas.
Oh my God.
The root plant.
I actually have not heard of what yuccas is.
I was so confused by that conversation.
I mean, the plants grow more so in warmer climates, but they can it's basically like a potato alternative.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
I love tubers, right? I think that's what you call
Tubers,
the umbrella
there you go.
term, tubers,
There
right?
you go. Also, you can't forget like things like onions and garlic.
sure.
And
Yeah.
boy,
Oh,
don't get me started.
yeah.
Things that grow in the dirt are delicious.
Oh, yes.
Well, Turin and Meme, they become pretty tight. They talk all the time, and Turin never rebukes him when he speaks ill of the Eldar, which is probably kind of weird, right? Because he was raised by a lot of them.
Right. And imagine you just have like somebody like you were adopted by like a different race or something, and you have like racist people just saying shit in front of you. And you imagine just swallowing it
Just
and not
letting
saying
it
nothing.
fly.
Yeah. This is what Turin's doing. He's letting him say racist shit about the elves.
Yeah, and
I hadn't thought of it that way.
Yeah, and just to reiterate one more time, Meme really hates
elves.
all elves.
Yeah.
Do we find out why?
Well, part of it is a petty dwarf thing. Like at one point, it says in the book when
elves first moved to the region,
he says they changed all the names when the elves came and changed all the names.
But they also didn't recognize what the petty dwarves were at first, and they sort of shot at them.
They thought they were beasts.
They thought they were beasts, and they just sort of shot at them and hunted them a little bit like beasts.
Yeah. This is bad blood, and it's old blood.
Yeah, it's like Years of the Trees blood, bad blood. It's
very, very old.
Long time ago. Old beef.
Old beef. Okay. Well, Bellig, he eventually comes back. The winter's been pretty rough for the men. The hill is covered in deep snow, and there's not very many of them that can, get in and out of the place, which is, a big trouble for things like food, because you can't really go get food if you can't really travel about.
Right. But lucky for them, one day, a familiar face shows up, and it's our dear friend Bellig.
Yay!
And he's got not only love in his heart, but also a huge amount of supplies to help out these poor, starving men.
Yes.
He must have just had like an enormous fucking sack, like just a whole, like he must have been hauling a lot of shit on his back to feed all these people.
I bet he has an enormous sack. I bet you're right.
Oh boy.
Well, it is supposed to be Lembas, so like a small amount of that would go a long way.
True.
Right.
Well, we've got an excerpt here from chapter 7 of Meme the Dwarf, read by Danny.
In the dim dusk of a day in midwinter, there appeared a man, as it seemed, of great bulk and girth, cloaked and hooded in white. He had eluded their watchmen, and he walked up to their fire without a word. When the men sprang up, he laughed and threw back his hood, and they saw that it was Beleg's strongbow. Under his wide cloak he bore a great pack in which he had brought many things for the help of the men. In this way Beleg came back to Turin, yielding to his love against wisdom. Turin was glad indeed, for he had often regretted his stubbornness, and now the desire of his heart was granted without need to humble himself or to yield his own will.
Okay, first off, this guy, tough as nails, right? He's carrying the frickin' dragon helm of Dorloman.
Yeah.
And God knows how much Lembas bread. And he's
Who
coming
knows?
all the way from Doriath.
Dude, this is a longbowman. They're strong.
That's
Longbowmen are
heavy
strong.
shit. And he's doing through the snow. Like, Beleg's strongbow is a badass, too.
No, and this is what, like, when people point out, because I'm a big, I love the Noldor. Everyone knows that, right? They're my favorite type of elves, probably. But I hate when people talk shit about the Grey Elves, the Sindar, right? Because you got characters like Beleg and Thingol, right? Like, these might not be the high-minded elves of the West, but they are cool, awesome characters. And
Yeah.
they're badass and shit.
Yeah, they earn their keep in the story for sure.
Totally.
Man, I was just Looking at that, I mean, it was a man of great bulk and girth that showed up in wintertime with a big old sack, and he laughed. Ho ho.
Right. Ho.
Ho 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 ho.
Ho, ho.
Could this be the origin of Santa Claus? Right here?
Right here. As you might not know,
I mean, I know it's not. I just thought it was a funny coincidence.
It's Tolkien Santa.
which is funny because like you might not know,
Basically, it's like Santa to these guys. They were starving to death. Jesus.
Tolkien was actually very upset with C.S. Lewis for adding Father Christmas into
Oh yeah,
like
literally adding Santa Claus
they
into
had
their story.
They had like a tiff about it. Yeah.
It's too on the nose.
Well, it's just weird. I agree with Tolkien, right? Like, I let's not talk about C.S. Lewis right now.
Like adding something from our real world, which includes our real world history, into this.
Yeah, it's weird.
Oh,
Anyway.
okay. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
So, at the return of Beleg, Androg and the rest of the company aren't super happy. They're kind of jealous of Beleg and the obviously strong relationship that he has with their leader Turin.
Right. It's kind of like if you had a friend that you'd known for like a pretty long time, say like 5-6 years or whatever, and then you hung out with them and a friend that they'd known for 15 years.
Yeah.
It's kind of like there might be a little bit of jealousy there because it's like, I want this relationship that this person has with this person if you think they're cool, right?
Right, yeah.
How are you guys so tight? What the fuck?
And all the men, they like and respect Turin. So.
Yeah, they think he's super cool, honestly. Yeah, so like...
They all want to be on his good side.
Yeah.
And here, Beleg just shows up and they're just best buds.
Yeah. And he's, like we said, he's bringing gifts, right? Just like Father Christmas. And one of the things is the Helm of Hador. He returns to Turin, right?
You think he wore it on his walk over there?
That'd be funny. No, I don't know. Maybe he did, man.
Well, because they
now
were too big
Turin-
for elves, right?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
normally, yeah, that's what, yeah, it says it's too big for elves. So, yeah,
He just wore it over his other helmet already. It's just double helmed.
yeah.
But the other gift, the lembas bread, this is the one that really came in clutch right now. Turin realizes what a gift that it is, and he refuses to accept it.
Right. Yeah, he's like,
Just
wow,
like-
that's a really profound gift that I was given. Fuck that, I won't take it.
I can't.
It's too
I
good
can't-
for me.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, I can't accept it. It's too much. This is a very Morrowind moment. Like,
Yes. You're literally starving in the wilderness.
just like his mother.
Yeah.
And he won't accept the best bread
yeah.
that you could, like the best thing you could have right now to survive this winter. He won't accept it.
And I love that this is I had to have this little exchange in the episode. He says, he has a little bit of quote here, a little tiny quote here. He says, "The helm of my fathers I take with goodwill for your keeping, but I will not accept gifts out of Doriath." So he's just like straight up,
Oh, God.
don't want it.
Like the helm is mine by right, but that other shit, no thanks.
If I was Beleg, I'd just be like, okay, and just right in front of him, just start eating it. Just
Yeah.
eating all of it. Just be like,
Well,
okay.
he does a
All
kind
right.
of friend thing here, which is like you laugh, but it's kind of what he does here is he just directly gives Turin shit. And he says, okay, if that's true, send back your sword, your mail, and everything we fucking taught you. How about that? And then Turin does something pretty crazy. He apologizes. What? I know.
Turin doesn't do that.
That doesn't really this might be one of the only times he does.
That's why I put it in the episode because I could not think of another time.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of another time too.
Shit. If anybody could humble Turin, it's got to be Beleg, right?
It's Beleg, your best buddy of all time, right? So
Straight Beleg.
yeah, we got a little we got a little excerpt here from chapter 7 of Children of Húrin of Meme the Dwarf. Joel's gonna read it. This is all about Turin's apology.
Turin's eyes glinted, but as he looked in Beleg's face, the fire in them died, and they went gray, and he said in a voice hardly to be heard, "I wonder, friend, that you deign to come back to such a churl. From you I will take whatever you give, even rebuke. Henceforth you shall counsel me in all ways, save the road to Doriath only."
That's right. And it's important that you understand this sentence. There's two fancy words that I had to look up because I'm not smart. Dane, That's to do something that one considers beneath their own dignity, right? And churl, an impolite or mean-spirited person. So he says, like, how dare, like, I don't know how you're stooping this low to come back to me, an asshole.
He says, I wonder, friend, that you deign to come back to this churl. Like, that you
lower yourself.
That you lower yourself to come back to me, this asshole.
Yeah. Yeah, he's admitting that he's being an asshole, and he's like, sorry. And he says, I'll take anything that you give, even rebuke. Wow.
In a way that still seems kind of prideful to me.
It sort of is. It is a way of pridefully.
And the fact that he also like says it quietly too.
I love it says that
in a voice hardly to be heard.
Hardly to be heard is what it says. Yeah, that's funny. I can just imagine Turin just, I'll take anything from you, even rebuke.
Yeah, sort of like eyes down, just like
give me your worst.
So as we talked about before, there's some people that don't really like the return of Beleg, right?
No one more so.
No one more so. Chief among them, as it were, Meme. Remember what we said about Meme hating elves?
Yeah.
Yeah, we mentioned it twice. This is 3 times. You all should know.
He really doesn't like elves.
He really hates them.
Yeah, so he's really not happy to see Beleg.
Yeah, and he's really jealous of Turin and Beleg's relationship. Because turns out, god damn it, Meme really likes Turin too.
They haven't even known each other that long either.
I think that like Turin might be the first person to treat Meme fairly in a very long time. You know what I mean? Like, I think Meme has lived a rough life. And Turin was like the only person that was like, you know, hey, I fucked you over and I want to be fair.
It's like good people do exist.
Yeah, that's basically what it was. Yeah, that's basically what it was. Good people are real.
I'm holding on to this for as long as possible.
Yeah. No, but I just love how, people are so upset that they can't be as good of friends with this cool, badass, good-looking dude that they all want to be.
Turin's basically a celebrity.
He is.
He kind of is a local celebrity, yeah.
Mm-hmm. But this is one of my favorite, coming up here is one of my favorite parts of Turin's life and Turin's story. And this is what we call the Land of Bow and Helm, right? This is that saga.
Yeah, the period of the Land of Bow and Helm.
Yeah, that's in the spring of First Age 489. Turin, he once again puts on the Helm of Hador, dude.
Hell yeah.
Because orcs, they're infesting the lands of elves and men, and they're just pouring out of the north, right?
What better way to scare them?
Yeah.
Visage that gnarly helmet with that fucking cool mask on it.
That's the one with Glaurung, right?
Yeah. Turin, Beleg, and the men, they decide to do something about all these orcs coming down, and they unleash holy hell on the servants of Morgoth. And there's only about 50 of them there.
Right, yeah, like that. Originally, that's sort of a lot for a gang of men, but when you're talking about versus armies of orcs,
when you're trying to quell the stem of the hordes of orcs,
50 is not so many.
No.
Yeah, but they really do start to fuck things up for the orcs. Like, it's so bad they basically become their own, like, terrifying legends.
Yeah. Right.
Just local legend.
Like orcs telling stories to fear these guys.
Yeah, and it becomes a little bit easier for them because they do get so scared that, like, all they have to do is blow a horn and the orcs will scatter.
They're just
just like, oh shit, they're here. Like, the dragon helm is here.
Run for your life!
Yeah.
Yeah, this group becomes famous throughout all of Beleriand, and men flock to Turin to join the good fight. People are like, they're doing the thing.
The word travels, and people are like, oh, there's somebody that's finally standing up to all this bullshit. Let's do it. Let's organize, right? Like, people like to organize.
Yeah, so their numbers grow, and this builds to be a pretty huge group of pretty badass fighters, and they are all ready to go and get their revenge on Morgoth. Go fuck up some orcs.
Vendetta.
And what were they called? The Gowerwaith?
The Gowerwaith. Yeah, the Wolfmen. Mm-hmm.
So it seems like they probably outgrow it about this point, right?
They don't go by the Gowerwaith anymore. They're now known by they call them the Old Crew or something. And then
the old crew.
the old gang or something. It's old something. Yeah, but the core group, the Gowerwaith, they have a name for them. But there is many other people that have joined since. Yeah.
So at this point, when they really start to get those numbers and they're making themselves known in the region, this is when they sort of get their own little realm, and it becomes called Dor Cuarthol, which is, as we know, the Land of Bow and Helm in Sindarin. Yep,
yeah, it's a sphere of influence really that they carve out in this area, and it's relatively safe because of Turin and his homies. And the Land of Bow and Helm proper is situated in the lands between Teglin and the West March of Doriath.
This is also when Turin, once again, takes on a new name.
Another beer, drink it.
Yeah,
drink
so
it.
if you guys are playing the drinking game at home, this is when you take another drink. And so during this period when he becomes, like a leader of the land of Bow and Helm, he takes on the name Gorthal, which is Sindarin for the Dread Helm.
Hell yeah. God, his names are cool.
Turin knows how to give himself a name. Well, we did say he was dramatic, right? We've said that at least once.
Mm-hmm.
So he's really making a name for himself. And
Literally.
Yeah, to the point where word makes it all the way back to Morgoth.
Yep.
And he is not happy to hear about all of this hindrance to his troops in the region, but he is sort of happy because
yeah,
he
not
now,
quite happy, but kind of happy.
Because he, recognizes the signs here. He understands what that means when the Dragon Helm is seen again in battle. He knows that means that's Turin.
Right.
He knows who Turin is, where he is.
Yep.
And we've got an excerpt here from Chapter 8, The Land of Bow and Helm, read by Trevor.
Report of the Dragon Helm in the land west of Sirion came swiftly to the ear of Morgoth, and he laughed. For now Turin was revealed to him again, who had long been lost in the shadows under the veils of Melian. Yet he began to fear Turin would grow to such a power that the curse that he had laid upon him would become void, and he would escape the doom that had been designed for him, or else that he might retreat to Doriath and be lost to sight again. Now, therefore, he had a mind to seize Turin and afflict him, even as his father, to torment and enslave him.
I don't know why I didn't realize that at any point Morgoth ever feared that Turin would become so powerful that the curse would become void.
That's crazy. Yeah, that shows you how the trajectory of this dude.
Yeah,
right?
that was something that I learned when we were doing this episode, because I always thought that the curse was, some overpowering curse. It was kind of always there.
Yeah, but
Melkor was, always strong-arming it, but...
Well, it's like a godlike being, right?
Yeah,
is
exactly.
the one enacting this. So, like,
Yeah.
and he's
I
even
agree.
afraid that the curse is going to be null and void because this dude is coming up so hard and fast. Right?
Yeah.
Sort of a classic trope where
That's impressive. That's very impressive. I had no idea that it had gotten to that point.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, the House of Hador is like one of the only groups of people that truly scares Melkor. Like they are direct threats to his dominance, like the House of Hador, and they fuck him over worse than a lot of people. So,
But even so, Morgoth, he kind of takes his time and he thinks about it and he decides to bide his time and not move openly against Turin at this time. Instead, he sends out scouts and spies over to the region.
scouts and spies.
And they eventually surround Amon-Rud unseen.
Yeah, they're just like the whole land is crawling with them, but they're not in the open.
So now Morgoth's kind of got eyes on him.
Exactly. Directly. Meme has been living there like his whole life or whatever, and is just no dummy. He knows that they're surrounded by servants of Morgoth,
Yep.
right? Like he knows. Like
he's got home turf advantage.
Exactly.
Home turf advantage. That's what I'm looking for.
But eventually his hatred for Beleg wins, and he straight up seeks to just Judas Turin. Just Judas Iscariot, that dude.
Yeah, nearly the year's end of First Age 49. Meme sets out to gather roots with Ibun.
Yeah, I love that. I want to go gather roots with Ibun, my son. I want to start using that as a euphemism when I'm going to go outside and smoke weed.
Gotta go gather some roots.
I got to go gather some roots with Ibun.
Me and Aboon, we got to go outside and gather some roots.
Gather roots.
Well, yeah. So, totally goes to the orcs. He tries to make a deal with them. And mostly they just laugh at him, like orcs probably would to a petty dwarf. But eventually, though, they do make a deal. And regarding this, we've got an excerpt from Chapter 8, The Land of Bow and Helm, read by Danny.
Then they asked him what these conditions might be, and Meme declared his demands. That they pay him the weight in iron of each man whom they captured or slew, but of Turin and Beleg in gold. That Meme's house, when rid of Turin and his company, be left to him, and himself unmolested. That Beleg be left behind bound, for Meme to deal with, and that Turin be let go free. To these conditions the emissaries of Morgoth readily agreed, with no intention of fulfilling either the first or the second. The orc captain thought that the fate of Beleg might well be left to Meme, But as to letting Turin go free, alive, to Angband, were his orders.
So Mime leads these orcs to the encampment at the top of Amon-Rud, and they absolutely annihilate all of the men there.
It's a massacre. Like, this part seems like fucking terrible in the book.
Yeah, and we mean all of the men there. They are all killed except Turin and Beleg.
The only two standing.
And Beleg's not a man, he's an elf.
That's years. It's years of work, right? Like, Turin's been gathering up these people, just have them all taken out in one night.
Well, not only that, he's probably close with some of these guys now.
Right,
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
it's
these
been
are
a long
friends.
time that they've all been surviving together.
Yeah, and Beleg and Turin, they might be standing, but not for long. They're cast into nets and taken alive.
Ooh, classy.
Yeah. I always love like the old Batman cartoons, and it's like, I guess I always thought that I would be able to easily get out of a net if somebody threw it on me.
Yeah,
but in TV shows,
I felt that as a child too.
Yeah, in TV shows and movies, it seems like just the worst thing ever to get caught in a net. I don't know. I feel like I would be able to find my way out. You, Trev?
Yeah, I feel like it wouldn't be too hard.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that one day as an experiment. I'm just gonna throw a net over you. Just like one day you're gonna come in here and be like for recording. And just whoosh.
Depending on the material, maybe it would be really hard because if it's like heavy and stuff, like
I think that's what it is in shows. They're usually weighted. I think if they were weighted, it would be harder.
Yeah.
Yep. But anyway, alas, Turin and Beleg, two of the most badass people, caught in nets. You know what I mean? Like that's how effective they are.
And as requested by Mime, Beleg, he's left on the hilltop, and Turin's taken away, and Mime is thinking some nasty thoughts about how to take out Beleg.
Yeah, this part is like almost like weirdly kinky. He's got him like tied up, and he's also like it says he's standing there sharpening a knife.
Oh man.
Yeah, fucking weird,
Jesus
right?
Christ.
Damn, Mime's a serial killer. Isn't he?
Yeah, Mime is the fucking serial killer. He's gonna like skin him. Yeah,
He's
like what
an
the
evil
fuck?
ass lawn gnome.
Yeah, that's like there's a movie called The Black Cat that at the end Bela Lugosi's character skins Boris Karloff's character. Spoiler: this is a 90-year-old movie. But yeah, he's just like, you know what I'm gonna do to you now? I'm gonna fucking skin you,
I'm gonna fillet you.
And then they do it like off screen. You know, it's like an old movie or whatever.
Yeah.
But this is like he's like, I'm gonna fucking skin you, dude. That's what this reminds me of.
God damn it, Mime.
The Black Cat.
Well, at the last second, Androg, who was already mortally wounded, he crawled up and he swung his sword as Mime, and that was apparently enough to scare him.
Yeah.
So he fucked off.
Well, I mean, if you thought somebody you thought somebody was dead, and then they swung a sword at you, that'd be a little scary, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess I hadn't thought that Mime might think that.
It says it swung at his face too in the text, so like he.
Yeah, I think it's also just kind of the nature of Mime and the remaining petty dwarves that they're very flighty.
Oh, I suppose
Their fight or flight response goes more frequently to flight, it seems.
I suppose even a wounded man probably would stand up against a petty dwarf, though. Like, that's a big size difference, I'm sure.
Yeah, Androg, he uses his last breath to cut the bonds from Beleg's hands, and his last words to Beleg were, quote, "My hurts are too deep even for your healing."
Damn.
Yeah.
Sort of acknowledging at the last that he really was a very big help to have all along.
Well, and
now he's like, I'm beyond you even being able to help me.
Well, because he had healed him earlier, and so this is one thing I had to cut out of the outline, but since we're talking about it, fuck it, let's add it. So, Mime, when Mime's son was killed by Androg's arrow, he said one of the stipulations, he could never use a bow again, the guy that shot. So Androg was forced to never use a bow again.
Oh, yeah.
And then he eventually took up a bow, defying the curse, and was shot with a poison arrow, right?
Oh.
Fulfilling said curse, but then Beleg healed him of the wound, pissing off Mime super hard because he negated his curse.
I can imagine that would only add to the hatred Mime feels.
Yes. So that whole thing happened. I'm glad that made it to the episode because I thought that was fun.
That's an interesting part of the story.
That's interesting because, at least so far with what's presented that we have here, Androg kind of just sounds like some kind of asshole.
He kind of is, but he does kind of redeem himself here.
He gets
a couple,
a little bit. Yeah.
I
forget
how much more fleshed out the Children of Húrin book is than the Silmarillion story. And the Silmarillion story is relatively long, too.
Yes. Yeah. No, yeah. Tell me about it, brother. I'm balls deep in this shit every night.
Good on you, man.
Yeah.
Good on you.
No, I love it. It's my favorite story. I'm privileged to be able to cover this in my opinion.
Well, speaking of hurts that are too deep
Too deep to heal.
Or maybe just deep.
Oh, deep. We're gonna go deep.
We got to go deep. I'm feeling kind of
right.
down.
After the death of Androg, I'm feeling a little down too.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, Androg and all the other guys.
Yeah,
And the other, you know what? I imagine there must have been at least 100 of them by now. But
yeah, there was at least
all of
50
those
last
men.
time we checked in. So yeah, there was a whole handful of homies are killed.
a slaughter, a betrayal.
Yeah. Well, because of that, let's get into it. Deep sea fact with Joe Vasky, right?
Please.
Let's, watching videos about the deep sea always calms me down. So we're going to have our friend Joe Vasky give us some deep sea facts as a palate cleanser.
Yeah, this is the second one of the episode. I hope that it brings you joy.
It always brings me joy. I know that for sure.
Let's learn something new.
Roll deep sea fact number 2.
Boop.
Hey fellas, got another deep sea fact with Joe Vasky for you. I'm Joe Vasky. The coastlines of the oceans are a thriving ecosystem, not just for marine animals, but seabirds as well. They have nearly 350 different species and account for 3.5% of all birds. Sadly, many seabird species are on the decline due to human activity. Over 1 million seabirds die from plastic pollution each year. Like in that movie The Lighthouse, Willem Dafoe says it's bad luck to kill a seabird. That's a lot of bad luck each year. Anyways, this is Deep Sea Facts with Joe Vasky.
Wow. Geez, Lou, that was pretty interesting, wasn't it?
I feel more relaxed just listening to that. It calmed me.
It calmed me down and made me feel a lot better and way less depressed, right?
I nearly forgot about that massacre we just talked about during...
me too.
Well, let's jump back into it, guys.
Yeah, I'm sure it can't get any worse.
No, Turin is currently captured by orcs. I'm sure things are...
I'm sure things are going to go swimmingly.
I'm sure things are going to get better from here.
Hey, he friended all those dudes. Maybe he makes an orc army, huh?
Hey, there you go.
Well, let's remember that Beleg is alive, and he is now free. And so he searched among all of the dead there at Aman-Rud to find Turin, because he assumed Turin was already dead like everyone else, and he wanted to bury his friend.
Yeah, I love that about Beleg. Like, he's taking time to try to find his buddy and bury him.
Yeah, but he doesn't find the body, and therefore he knows that Turin is alive. But not only that, he clearly must have been taken by those fucking orcs.
Not good.
And yeah, being taken to Angband alive is not something he's willing to let happen to his friend.
No, so Beleg, he's actually forced to stay behind in Aman-Rud for just a little bit because he was wounded in the battle, man. Like, he needs to recover.
Yeah, he was fucked up.
It says when they threw the nets over him that he was wounded. So he's got to, sew up some gashes or whatever the fuck,
I wonder if you use the limbus to, like, soak up the blood, if it also helps heal.
What if you could just suck it up and then eat? It's like blood pudding then, because then, you get a little protein.
It's the secret sauce.
Blood pudding.
I don't think you'd ever want to eat your own blood, because isn't that what induces that weird...
Isn't there an illness you can get
Yeah,
doing
I think
that?
there's a weird disorder you can
I don't
get
know.
from cannibalism where your body starts to get used to digesting and processing its own type of material.
Oh, gross.
And your body starts to sort of digest itself.
Sick. That's why you're not supposed to eat people, I bet.
Not a good... I mean, yeah.
One of the many reasons
Turns out
why.
there's a practical
It kind of
reason.
depends on what part of the body you're eating, too. If you eat brains, you can actually get a disease that eats away
I've heard
your
of that,
brain.
too. That, too. Yeah, because people used to do that as a sign of, like, dominance over people. They would eat their brain.
Or a sign of respect, so that way
too,
you wouldn't let the animals eat your family and friends.
Please keep
Jesus
in mind
Christ.
that none of us are medical professionals here.
Please do not eat other people.
Period.
Just unless you have to. I mean, if you're in a situation where you have to, I guess,
Yeah.
I'm not going to judge you.
Despite not being medical professionals, I think we can wholeheartedly endorse not eating people.
Unless you have to.
Unless you have to.
Like that, like the Uruguayan soccer team. Rugby team.
that fell in the mountains.
The Andes.
Has to be for the greater good,
They
is what you're
had to.
telling me.
They had to.
They had to do it.
But what else do we have to do? We have to find Turin, right?
We gotta. We gotta do it. And Beleg is on it, man. So he eventually sets out to find the trail of orcs that took Turin, and he tracks them up through Dimbar, through the pass of Anak, in arid Gorgoroth, and into Tarnufuin, this very cold, upper highland region. It's full of lots of like pine trees and
Yeah.
It's-
A lot of
it's about as
coniferous trees.
it's about as far north as you can go before you get to like Angband lands. Like
This is
Fowgleaf
the border of no return, right? You don't want to go much further north
and it's
than
not
this.
and this already isn't a very pleasant place.
Yeah, to begin with, it weren't. Yeah. While wandering there in absolute despair, Beleg, he comes across a little lamp, and he approaches it and finds a sleeping elf near a little lantern.
Oh, just another elf in the woods. Is he hallucinating?
Yeah, what the fuck?
Well, Beleg, he decides to wake the elf up, be like, "Hey, yo, listen to me.
You good?
Yeah, you good, bro?" And he gives him some lembas, and he's like, "Tell me your story."
Yeah.
Man, what the fuck is going on here?
And the elf, he names himself Gwyndor, son of Gwilyn of Nargothrond.
No shit. We know that guy. If you know your elven history, you know that guy, right?
You would know that guy.
If we, in this instance, had been reading through the Silmarillion, we would have been expected to remember his name from
Right.
an earlier instance.
But since we were not doing that, let's give I'm calling Gwyndor a brief portrait of badassery. So, let's get into Gwyndor a little bit. Side tangent here. He was captured at the Nirnaeth and enslaved in Angband for 22 plus years. Okay?
Jeez. It's a long time.
He was one of the few elves of Nargothrond to partake in the Nirnaeth Arnoediad. This was to avenge the capture of his brother Gelmir at the Bragolach. But just before the battle, this happens. And we have this is a straight up from the Silmarillion, chapter 20 of the 5th battle, Nirnaeth Arnoediad, read by Joel.
With them they brought Gelmir, son of Gwilyn, that lord of Nargothrond whom they captured at the Bragolach, and they had blinded him. Then the heralds of Angband showed him forth, crying, "We have many more such at home, but you must make haste if you would find them, for we shall deal with them all when we return even so." And they hewed off Gelmir's hands and feet, and his head last, all within sight of the elves, and then left him. By ill chance at that place, in the outworks, stood Gwyndor of Nargothrond, the brother of Gelmir, and now his wrath was kindled to madness, and he leapt forth on horseback, and many riders with him, and they pursued the heralds and slew them, and drove on deep into the main host.
Yeah, and then he gets captured after
Yeah,
driving super far into
they basically baited him into attacking too early.
attacking too early and kind of ruining Maedros's plan.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they're so good at that. Like they literally executed his brother in front of him.
Brutally too.
Brutally.
They
Yeah.
said that he was blinded. Like
but when he got there, they were blind.
I guess I like to assume that doesn't mean blindfolded. I guess I assume that means he was literally blinded somehow. Like
I did
they
too.
Burned
yeah.
or cut out his eyes or something.
I did too. Yeah.
Yeah, and then on top to see the elf in this state, and then all of a sudden they just cut off his hands, cut off his feet, and then behead. Just oh my god.
Yeah, and that's what they say they're going to do to all the prisoners.
The battles of Beleriand are fucking hardcore.
Yeah.
They're metal.
Yeah.
I can't help but think of that, like just that execution scene, like it was all done in just like a couple of swings.
Yeah, like a whoosh, whoosh.
Yeah.
Right, like everything was still in midair by the time the cuts were done.
Oh yeah, like an anime, like a
like
real
yeah, like an
Shoo,
anime.
shoo.
Poor Gwyndor.
Poor Gwyndor. But Gwyndor actually, he, like we said, he gets enslaved for over 20 years in Angband.
Yeah.
And he has a really cool escape story, which we just can't get into right now.
I didn't realize that there was that much information about him.
There's
Did we actually get his
a little
escape?
fun,
Really?
fun stuff. Yep.
Okay.
So I think, guys, here now we're gonna say future project Gwyndor character profile.
Hell yeah.
Could be an episode just as depressing as this one. How about that, you guys? How about that? But yeah, he's got a cool story. If you want to find more about Gwyndor, read the Silmarillion and this, I guess. I don't know.
The only elf that I know of who's ever escaped slavery in Angband.
Yeah.
Like how do you get out of there? How do you jailbreak out of Angband? God, I'm going to have to find out. We'll have to do that character profile.
Oh, well, actually, maybe we should bring it up, Joel, because you mentioned something, a Tolkieneering thing about it. Because it relates to Beren and Luthien, remember? So he steals he gets like a small short sword and finds his way out of the kitchen.
Oh, he steals a knife out of the kitchen.
Right, which is something that Baron had done to escape Angband in one of the earlier versions of Baron and Luthien.
Yeah, he steals a knife from Tevildo's cat kitchen.
Right, which is maybe where maybe Tolkien's transferred that to Gwyndor.
Seems like that.
Yeah,
you're right.
Yeah, so I guess we got into it. We just can't. we just can't shut the fuck up. That's the problem.
We just can't stop.
Well, let's go on. Let's go on to another elf that we love.
Okay,
right?
sure.
Back to Beleg.
Let's get back to Beleg. How about that?
Thank you, man, I bet he's probably doing real good.
I bet he's doing real good and about to do even better, I'm sure.
Yeah, well, and we're talking about Gwyndor because Beleg and Gwyndor, they're going to have like, a little conversation.
Little interaction here.
Beleg tells Gwyndor of his errand and Tower de Fuin, which, by the way, I really like that name for a place.
He's trying to save his friend Turin from this band of orcs. But Gwyndor is inspired by Beleg.
And their friendship.
And he's like, you know what? Even though I just escaped all these orcs, okay.
Let's do it.
Let's go get him.
Oh, another thing didn't mention, he's missing a hand.
Oh, Gwyndor?
Gwyndor is, he's
one-handed.
He's one hand short. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, hold on.
Another one-handed character.
But that's it's another Baron and Luthien reference for that same character.
Is it?
That's what you're telling me?
Maybe.
Maybe. Knife and one hand?
Yeah.
Maybe.
That's fun.
Yeah, because the thing is, Gwyndor, he worked on like a mining gang for 14 years, and then he lost a hand, and then was working in the kitchen, I think.
Okay, all right, hold on. We're gonna do the whole profile right now.
Yeah, no, we'll get into it another time.
All right. They follow the orcs carrying Turin. Right, they encamp within sight of the Thangarad Rim, and the orcs can't help themselves. They put on a party. They got all this cool shit that they just stole from all the dudes they slaughtered, and they're going to celebrate.
And if you ever wonder if orcs do get drunk, they do right here in this part of the text.
Really?
It says they're drunk. Yeah, they drink all the wine and shit that they stole from.
No way. They get hammered.
Yeah, and they pass out drunk. Actually, that's what it says. They drunkenly pass out. So they put up some wolf sentinels. They're like. Go guard the periphery.
We're gonna get
wasted.
Get plastered. Here we go.
So they put the wolf sentinels out, and then they get drunk and pass out.
Man, I know if I wanted to go get plastered, I could not just set my dumb dog to do fucking anything.
Here you go, Pip. Save the house.
Save the house. He'd just be pooping in the corner somewhere, not paying attention. So Beleg then silently shoots the wolves and moves into the camp all quietly and, ninja-like with his homie Gwyndor.
Mm-hmm.
And they find Turin tied up and left after being tormented by the orcs. And we've got an excerpt here from Chapter 9 of The Children of Húrin, read by Trevor.
When all in the camp were sleeping, Beleg took up his bow and in the darkness shot 4 of the wolf sentinels on the south side, one by one and silently. Then in great peril they entered in, and they found Turin fettered hand and foot and tied to a tree. All about, knives that had been cast at him by his tormentors were embedded in the trunk, but he was not hurt, and he was senseless, in a drugged stupor or swooned in a sleep of utter weariness.
He's pretty fucked up right now.
Yeah, not doing well. I love the knives all around him.
Yeah, like I imagine he's not only completely physically exhausted, but just mentally on the brink.
Yeah, well, it says he might be drugged here too. It says,
really?
Well, it says senseless in a drugged stupor.
Straight up. Yeah.
Also could be that he's drunk, right? Because the orcs are all drinking. Maybe they're like maybe cutting him and pouring alcohol in his wounds and shit.
Like a beer bong, just like drink. Yeah.
Oh no! Oh Jesus!
Poor Turin.
Yeah, orcs party like frat boys, dude.
So the two elves, they cut Turin free and they take him as far away as they can, but he's a really fucking big guy.
Yeah,
like
massive.
Men are big, usually.
And one's a half-starved elf and the other one's just an elf. So it's
right.
They're not going to drag this 7-foot dude that very far, right?
Right, exactly. Yeah, they don't get far. And so Beleg, he's like, okay, we gotta make this easier. We gotta get him to help us. So he draws Anglicel to cut the ropes from Turin, and something very unfortunate happens, which leads to another one of Turin's great sorrows. And let's just let the text speak for itself here. And we've got an excerpt here from The Children of Húrin, Chapter 9, read by Danny.
Beleg drew his sword Anglicel, and with it he cut the fetters that bound Turin. But fate was that day more strong, for the blade of Eöl the Dark Elf slipped in his hand and pricked Turin's foot. Then Turin was roused into a sudden wakefulness of rage and fear, and seeing a form bending over him in the gloom with a naked blade in his hand, he leapt up with a great cry, believing that the orcs were come again to torment him. And grappling with him in the darkness, he seized Anglicel and slew Beleg Cuthalion, thinking him a foe. But as he stood, finding himself free, and ready to sell his life dearly against imagined foes, there came a great flash of lightning above them, and in its light he looked down on Beleg's face. Then Turin stood stone still and silent, staring on that dreadful death, knowing what he had done, and so terrible was his face, lit by the lightning that flickered all about them, that Gwyndor cowered down upon the ground and dare not raise his eyes.
Jeez.
I love this scene.
It really it vividly, like I can vividly picture this. This is such great.
I feel like I've watched a movie about this.
Right, you
like
can
just from reading it.
You can see this happening in your head. The lightning flickering,
flashing, seeing your best friend's dead face, right? Yeah, fucked up, guys.
Well,
seeing
knowing
like the
that you
horrible
killed him,
look on his face in the lightning light too. I can
even,
only imagine what that fucking
even
looks like.
Gwyndor like down on the ground.
Even
like won't even look at him because how
it's terrible. Yeah.
Oh God. Yeah, this is intense. Every time I go through the story of Turin, I know Turin goes through a lot, and we haven't even gotten to a lot of it yet, some real fucked up shit, but this one always gets me.
It always sucks. Yeah.
It is tragic.
Yeah, Beleg and Turin are like the two besties of all time. I mean, they're Sam and Frodo level of homies, right? And yeah, imagine if fucking Frodo accidentally slew Sam
Right,
at
trying
the end
to
of
save him.
the end of Return of the King. That would be crazy, right? Like people would lose their damn minds if that happened. That happens in the Children of Húrin. The two best friends, one of them accidentally slays the other one. Damn.
Well, and like I feel like you don't really see it coming either. Like if you're just following along with the story, and then
I remember I gasped the first time I read this in the Silmarillion. And I was like,
he did what?
Yeah,
that's nuts, man.
And this is one of those things where like this you can probably hopefully. Not a whole lot of you can relate to this, but I'm sure a scary amount of you can. When something really horrible happens to you, you have like you can totally dissociate from like
especially with the passing of someone close.
Well, any kind of really bad trauma, right? So like Turin just totally checks out at this point. Like this is when he goes into what's called Turin's madness, right? Mm-hmm. It's a total disassociation. We'll get into it, but
he's sort of a zombie.
Yeah,
an emotional zombie.
A fugue-like state. Yeah.
So at this point, the orc camp is aroused by all the commotion. They say Turin is gone, and they all decide to scatter because they fear the lightning.
Yeah,
orcs just don't like the lightning.
Yeah, intense lightning storm now.
They thought that it was sent by the Valar from across the sea.
Yeah, that's how bad the storm was.
Oh shit, that must be a crazy storm.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, this whole time, Turin is still as a stone. Still just standing there looking down on the body of his dead best friend, and he is totally in that disassociative state we were talking about.
Yeah.
And Gwyndor is yelling at him to try to get him to do something or move or get out of here, but Turin just is a statue.
Yeah.
And he's just broken by grief.
Totally broken. And they actually stay there the night. Like they camp there because Turin can't do anything. It's
Gwyndor can't get him to fucking move.
Yeah, Gwyndor can't get him to move. And the next day, the orcs all leave for Angband. They assume anyone who would have just escaped them is long gone by now.
Right, would have definitely run by now.
They didn't expect that they just stood there in a stone-like state because some horrible shit had happened to them. So the orcs just take off, right?
Yeah, they're like, oh, clearly they're gone.
Yeah.
No idiot would hang around.
It's probably because they were all passed out drunk, I would bet. I feel like the orcs wouldn't be this disorganized.
They're all hungover, and they're like, oh, we gotta get on the road. I don't know.
He got away, shot.
Away. But yeah, so the next day, Gwyndor, he wants some help burying Beleg, right? As you would want from a friend, right? Turin helps, but it's in a sort of trance. Like this association lasts a long time. And we got a excerpt here from chapter 9, The Death of Beleg from the Children of Húrin, read by Joel.
Then Gwyndor roused Turin to aid him in the burial of Beleg, and he rose as one that walked in sleep, and together they laid Beleg in a shallow grave, and placed beside him Belthrunding, his great bow, that was made of black yew wood. But the dread sword Anglicel Gwyndor took, saying that it were better that it should take vengeance on the servants of Morgoth than lie useless in the earth. And he took also the lembas of Melian to strengthen them in the wild. Thus ended Beleg Strongbow, truest of friends, greatest in skill of all that harbored in the woods of Beleriand in the elder days, at the hand of him whom he most loved. And that grief was graven on the face of Turin, and never faded.
Wow.
Heavy.
Heavy shit.
Turin's one of those guys, I feel like, when you look at him, you just know he's been through some shit.
Right. Like yeah.
It's
There's
just
certain people, man, that you see them in life and you're just like, you've fucking been through it, huh? And yeah, like you can still people like that are like look really old, but they're not, like they've seen some shit. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's Turin. So Turin is continuing he's checked out, right, by grief.
This lasts for days, maybe weeks?
It's long enough for them to travel to a place called the Pools of Ivrin.
Not terribly far,
not
but
terribly
not
far,
exactly
but
close.
Not close either. Gwyndor guides Turin to this place. This is where the springs of the Narog River are, right? And it is known by the Noldor to be blessed by Ulmo in ancient days, this place.
Yeah, it's like holy waters. This is like a holy spring.
Right, it's kind of like Lords or something, right?
Yeah. Yeah, sure, yeah.
Oh, how nice that Gwyndor knows the way.
Yeah, pretty sick. Pretty clutch, right?
Yeah.
And this is said to be a place of healing, right? And this is where Turin is ultimately healed of this madness, this association, and finally, for I feel like the first time since he was probably a kid, he weeps, right?
He's finally allowed to release, or I should say he allows himself to release.
Yeah.
And we've got a emotional excerpt here from Chapter 9, The Death of Beleg, read by Trevor.
There Gwyndor spoke to Turin, saying, "Awake, Turin, son of Húrin. On Irvin's lake is endless laughter. She is fed from crystal fountains unfailing, and guarded from defilement by Ulmo, lord of waters, who wrought her beauty in ancient days." Then Turin knelt and drank from that water, and suddenly he cast himself down. His tears were unloosed at last, and he was healed of his madness. There he made a song for Beleg, and he named it Lair Cu Beleg, the song of the great bow, singing it aloud, heedless of peril. And Gwyndor gave the sword Anglicel into his hands, and Turin knew that it was heavy and strong and had great power, but its blade was black and dull, and its edges blunt. Then Gwyndor said, "This is a strange blade, and unlike any that I have seen in Middle-earth. It mourns for Beleg, even as you do."
A sad scene.
Yeah.
But also an interesting detail about
the sword
Anglicel.
Yeah.
Yeah, after the death of Beleg, the sword goes noticeably blunt.
Right.
Which is really strange,
mm-hmm.
especially for such a well-made sword.
Right.
Usually those elven swords are hella sharp for a long time.
Yeah, one of the things that makes a good blade is its ability to keep an edge, right?
Right, and this blade was also known to be able to cleave through iron.
Yeah.
How is it all of a sudden just gone blunt? It's
weird.
Interesting. Yeah, it's like it's almost got emotional properties.
Yeah, that is what it's like.
I mean, yeah, it's kind of crazy to me, though, because Gwyndor's like, "Here, have the sword you just killed your best buddy with back."
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's kind of like he's trying to get Turin to use his anger, because that's what Gwyndor did, right? Gwyndor used his anger against Morgoth, and he charged, and, for better or worse, that's what he did, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think he's trying to inspire Turin to use that anger and frustration against, because he realizes that Turin's a mighty warrior, right?
Mm-hmm.
In that focused, he can be very dangerous, right? And I think that's what the next part of the story is, why that happens. But anyway, we won't get there quite yet. We're gonna
we need to I don't know about you guys. I need a second.
I need a second too.
The death of Beleg and the whole Turin madness, it's heavy. It's a lot for me.
Yeah, and when I'm suffering from heaviness, what I like to do is go to YouTube and watch deep sea videos.
Yeah, I think that's what I need right now.
I think I need some deep sea facts, you guys. Let's do our new palate cleansing segment, Deep Sea Facts with Joe Vasky. Here it is, guys. Roll Deep Sea Fact 3.
Hey squad, this is Deep Sea Facts with Joe Vasky. I'm Joe Vasky. Humans have worked to perfect ocean travel over thousands of years. Some of our largest vessels weigh up to 240,000 tons, but it wasn't always as safe as it is today. There are estimated to be more than 3 million shipwrecks on the ocean floor, and they have become the graves for countless souls throughout the ages. A survivor of the Titanic shipwreck once said that he couldn't stand going to a baseball game anymore. He said the roar of the crowd sounded exactly like the ocean, full of screaming people. Another fun fact, Bernard Hill was the driver of the Titanic in the movie. I'm pretty sure he died. This has been Deep Sea Facts with Joe Vasky.
Ooh, yeah, that was uplifting.
Yeah, I was really in the deeps there for a moment. Like I couldn't even talk.
But that deep sea fact really helped.
I don't know. It really brightened my day. I feel kind of inspired.
Really took the storms away from my heart.
Yeah, Joe should make like one of those calendars, that like every day you
That'd
pull
be
off.
beautiful.
And he could do a little deep sea fact with Joe Vasky every day. Wow.
That would help me get through my weeks.
Me too.
My months, really.
Yeah.
If you want a Joe Vasky Deep Sea Facts calendar,
We should start
let
selling
us
that.
know.
Yeah, let's start selling that on our merch website.
So now that Turin is finally healed of his grieving madness, Gwyndor and him, they get to talking, and he tells him that basically he's going to take Turin back to Nargothrond because Turin doesn't have much anywhere else to go right now.
Right, and I think that's the thing, like what I was saying earlier, he acknowledges that he's a great warrior and he will be useful in the fight against Morgoth, so he's going to take him home.
We need people like you, right,
Yeah.
basically.
And during this time, Gwyndor also tells Turin about his enslavement in Angband. And this interests Turin, so he asks him about possible news of his father
Right.
in Angband.
He's an Angband as well.
And so we've got a short excerpt here from Chapter 9, The Death of Beleg, read by Danny.
Then have you seen Húrin, son of Galdor, the warrior of Dorloman? Said Turin. I have not seen him, said Gwyndor, but the rumor runs through Angband that he still defies Morgoth, and Morgoth has laid a curse upon him and all his kin. That I do believe, said Turin. And I think that's where we're going to leave it off, guys. I think we're going to come back for part 4 next week.
Yeah.
You got your deep sea fact and then your cliffhanger ending.
There it is.
Yes.
I love that. That I do believe.
It's one of my favorite
says Turin.
parts of the book and of
That's
Tolkien.
that's about as close as Turin ever gets to confirmation that he's been cursed.
And also the closest he's ever come to making a joke. If you think about it.
Yeah, true. Yeah,
Like it's a deadpan joke, right? Like
Yeah.
he's like, yeah. After all this shit that just happened to me,
Yeah, of course that's
that I
what it is.
believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe that.
But yeah, let's get into some final thoughts, guys. This one was a rough one. This was sad, this episode.
Yeah, this has one of the heaviest moments in it, the death of Beleg. My
Yes.
It's definitely
Yes.
the saddest episode so far.
So far.
God. Mm-hmm.
And just to one of the things that I want to keep coming back to is you really see in this episode how the traits that he inherited from his family are starting to really affect his decisions and behavior in life.
Yeah,
right?
really bad.
The overbearing pride that he has from Morwen and the dramatic and impulsive nature of Húrin really have made for some not so chill interactions.
Yeah.
He really is the best of both worlds.
The worst of both worlds, really. Yeah.
Yeah, it leads to some not so healthy decision making.
Right. No, I love that. Even that thing earlier where the quote we had earlier where he says it was cool because he got the desire of his heart without having to humble himself.
Oh,
Like that was so
yeah.
Turin. Just like I loved that my outcome came to be and I didn't have to prostrate myself before anybody. It was cool. I love that.
What a way to rely on luck.
Yeah.
Well, we know the death of Beleg. It's probably like one of the more tragic events in Turin's life, but it's like it's really just one of several.
Well, I love what it says too in the text
Right.
that it's graven on his face forever.
Yeah.
Right. Like you see this to the end of this dude's days. Like right. Like this is what's something that happened. to him.
Again with the people you've seen shit.
Yeah.
like,
You've seen some shit.
This is one of the things that haunts him for the rest of his life.
Oh yeah.
And if you think this is bad, there is actually
That's way-
some more, even more fucked up shit that happens to Turin.
There's more.
There's
That we'll get into next time.
yes. Yes.
God, Turin, he should have just stayed in Doria.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Beleg
Yeah.
wouldn't have had to leave. Nobody would be having all these, different problems in different places. But
Doria is like the safest place to be.
yeah, the Girdle of Melian, why would you leave?
And yeah, speaking of, I know what you're thinking. There was no Morwen or Nienor in this episode, but don't worry, they have not escaped the curse. Their woes are coming up in the very next week.
Yeah, we didn't talk about either his sister or his mother at all this episode.
I think we'll check in early in the next episode.
Yeah, but
with them.
do remember this story is called "The Children of Húrin," not "The Son of Húrin."
There's plenty of sadness to go around,
There's
friends.
enough to go around.
Yes, it is a coming.
But that's about all we've got for you this week. Make sure to tune in next week for some more wonderful sadness for Children of Húrin, Part 4.
That's right. Thanks for listening to KOT Podcast. Subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts to stay up to date on new episodes. That's also fun. Please rate or review us wherever that is. That would be cool. We like reading reviews, and rating us helps us let's boost us in the algo and all that stuff, right?
Yeah, help us get up there.
Yeah. Also, check out our new website, keepontolkien.com. This is a hub for all things KOT.
Everything. And a big thank you to all of our patrons on Patreon. You can subscribe to us on Patreon to not only help support us, but also to unlock some exclusive content there.
That's right.
So you can go check that out at patreon.com/KOT podcast. We also accept private one-time donations if subscription services aren't your speed, and we know that can be a lot, over long periods of time. So we can also make that happen. We have PayPal and other services. Just contact us on whatever social media works for you. We appreciate anything you're willing to give.
And after you've checked out our website, you'll probably have been on there and saw that we also exist on social media.
Sure do.
And what's social about social media? Well, you can interact with us. Definitely come and swing by our Discord.
Do that.
That's like the biggest place where we're all hanging out, posting memes and asking questions and finding out cool stuff. We talked about it earlier in this episode. We find links to things we never thought we might, thanks to people posting things.
I've been scrolling over the memes during this episode.
Some good ones in there.
Yeah, I've heard that. Yeah, I missed a few notifications. There's something up there. Yeah, it's all day, every day, guys, because we got people from all over the world. So especially if you're like a night owl, they post shit in the middle of the night.
I got
really
stuff
nice
to wake up to, which is pretty great.
Our Aussie fans down there posting.
Yeah, so you can find a link for our Discord in the description, but also, we'll have a link on our website at keepontolkien.com. But to just list off some of the other places that you can find us, right? We're on TikTok at keep_on_Tolkien_podcast. We still exist on X/Twitter at KOT Podcast, but you're probably better going to one of these other places. We're on Facebook at Official Keep on Tolkien. We are on Instagram at Keep on Tolkien Podcast. And if you want to pick up some merch and show off some cool stuff to your buddies, there's a link for T-mail on our merch store, but it's kind of tradition now, so I'm going to list off the whole website. That's keep-on-tolkien-podcast.tmail.com.
Nice.
Damn, you're getting so good at that.
Get it.
How many episodes? You've done that for like probably 40 episodes now, man.
It haunts my dreams, it does.
But I think that's all from us today. Sorry to bum you out. Hopefully the rest of your day is like chill.
Yeah, go to YouTube. Go look at some deep sea facts.
Go watch James Cameron's Deep Sea Adventures.
There you go.
On YouTube. There you go. But yes, I am Danny J.
And I'm Joel N.
I'm Trevor D.
And together we are
Keep on Tolkien.
figure out how to make it sound like I'm at the bottom of the sea. Is that cool?
I think you got it.
Yeah.